You know that feeling at the end of the month where you're dreading opening your bank account, your credit card account, because you know you overspent? That used to be me too. I used to struggle with setting good intentions at the beginning of the month, and somehow throughout the month, I lose track of my spending. And I hope and pray at the end of the month that I'm staying within budget. So I spent 2025 researching all types of budgeting template, trying to find the system that was going to help me stay consistent and accountable to the budget that I set. But what I found is a lot of the budgeting templates out there are either overbuilt and too complicated, or they were too simple that they didn't allow me to track my expenses in real time. So if you're anything like me, in this video, I want to share with you the simple money management system that I built to help you stay on track of your budget in real time throughout the month, so that you never have to have this dreaded feeling again, that you feel in control of your finances and that you're entering every month with excitement that you're going to manage it well, with the expectation that you have a system that's built to keep you consistent. Now let's dive right into it and show you this simple money management tool. The first tab you'll see is the instructions tab, and it's going to tell you exactly how to use the template. There's step-by-step instructions on what to do. So the first step is to go to Start Here tab. So you can click on the short link here or click at the bottom here. And when you get to the Start Here tab, this is where you customize all your categories per section of your budget. So for income, you have paycheck, side hustle. Let's say you have some business income coming. You can add all the values here. For saving and investment, this is where you're going to add all the different ways that you're saving, whether you save cash, emergency fund account, Roth IRA, house fund, so on. And then there's, for example, you can add travel sinking fund here. So all the different savings buckets or accounts that you have. And then for expense category, this is where you start listing out all your expenses. So for the sake of time, I pre-populated some expense values so that you can see. So as soon as you enter a value, you can categorize it saying whether it's a fixed expense or a variable expense. So what a fixed expense is anything that is fixed in amount every month. So your regular bills, so that's like your rent, your utilities, your car insurance, phone bill, Spotify, internet, so on. So anything that is fixed in nature. So internet here should be fixed. I'll update that. And then your variable expense is anything that is variable in nature that you have a set budget for, but has multiple transactions or changes month to month. So this is your groceries, your restaurant, your personal care, your gas. You set a budget for them, but they could change month to month. So clothing, fitness, let's say health and wellness is another area you have. Then you categorize that as a variable expense. Then you have your payment method section. This is where you list all the different ways that you pay for your transactions, all your expenses. So let's say you also have a Capital One credit card. So you can go ahead and enter that. You can write credit card or CC for short. And then next is the annual budget tab. So in the annual budget tab, this is where you're going to begin setting your budget. And to give you an overview here, the first section is your summary section. So it's going to tell you all the different sections, what the total amount is. And as you begin entering your budget, it's going to sum it for you. And in the total balance section, tell you exactly how much money you have left to budget for. So let's start budgeting for income. For paycheck, let's assume here that's $5,000. And as I enter my target budget, that's going to be, my target budget is going to be my core budget that should be true for a typical month. And then once I start entering my target budget, it's going to pre-populate it for me in all future months. So every month has a budget and actual category. And what the budget amount for each month, why there is one, is because month to month, sometimes you have unique costs that's unique to like January or February. Say you have a subscription cost that's only unique and comes out in January. Then you can adjust the budget for that particular month. But for the most part, your target budget is going to be your core budget for all the months. So that's why that's there. Let's say for side hustle, you consistently earn $200 at least, or it's variable, but the minimum you've noticed that you gain out of side hustle income is 200. So you can enter that. And then money taken from savings and rollover is, I noticed that a lot of budget templates out there doesn't have a space for you to enter money that you might be taking from like your rollover, money left over in your checking account for the previous month, or sometimes you have sinking funds where you save money for, but you're going to be paying and pulling from that account. So this is what this is for. And if you have a set amount that you pull from the sinking fund, this is where you put it. And you notice that the drop-down menus are unique to the customizable choices that you put here. So each section has a drop-down automatically populated for you based on the categories that you set. So I'm not going to have any regular money that I pull from saving or rollover. So I'm going to leave that blank for my target budget. Then I can go ahead and start allocating my money. So let's say I have 5,200 left to budget here. So let's start budgeting. So I'm going to put emergency fund. Let's say I'm going to put 500 per month, and you see everything gets populated. And then the annual tab, the annual budget column tells you the annual version of whatever your budget is. So it can easily help you plan for the year what you anticipate, what your numbers will look like as you begin planning at the beginning of the year. So emergency fund is that Roth IRA. Let's say I'm planning on contributing $250 for it. And then we'll stop there for savings and go to our fixed expenses. So I have my rent for $2,000. And these are fictitious numbers just to give an example of how the budgeting template works. You have your utilities. Let's say that's $250 per month. And then you have car insurance, that's $100 per month. And then I'm just going to go through and enter these really fast. So I'm done entering all my fixed expense for now. Now we can go to the variable expenses section, and you'll see here it gives you a total of the fixed expenses so far, and how much I have left to budget is $1,987. So let's start doing our budget for our variable expenses. So groceries, let's imagine it's $700 for 2 people, and then restaurant $250, and then so on, and we can keep budgeting for variable expenses. And the way you come up with these budget amounts is by analyzing your spending history for at least the last 3 months. So we'll talk about that in future videos on how you can set a realistic budget. But that's what I typically do. I analyze my spending month over month, at least for the last 3 months, and then I can see what is a realistic based on how I spend. So these are where the numbers are coming from. And I usually like to have a miscellaneous bucket for anything that I might not be anticipating that might be necessary throughout the month. So anything between 100 and 200, kind of like a catch-all if anything that doesn't fit into these set categories comes up. Let's say for health and wellness, that's 200 per month. So I still have 437 left to budget. So I'm going to go back to my savings and see if I can add that to my house fund. So let's do 250. And then I like doing a zero-based budget. Again, there might be some expenses that I'm missing for the sake of this example, but let's go ahead and put the rest in sinking fund. 187.01, just to show you what a zero-based budget is. So the top breakdown, it tells you annually, based on your budget, you expect to earn your take-home pay of $62,400. Total savings and investment for the year, if you stick to it every month, would be $14,000. And then your total expenses for the year will be $48,000. And then if you go all the way down, it tells you percentage breakdown based on the budget that you set. So how much is your saving rate? That's 22% based on the numbers that we entered. And then the breakdown of your fixed and variable expenses. So now when I'm planning for January, I think to myself, okay, are there any unique charges that are happening in January that I should account for in my budget? And let's say, for example, in January, you know, my health and fitness goals are high. I'm highly motivated. So I plan on
paying for a personal trainer to get me started in January. So I can add 200 here, just unique to January. But when I do that, you'll see that it shows you a negative value in total balance. So that is telling you that you need to cut away the money from somewhere, right? So then I can go up to maybe my savings. I can cut down my housing fund a little bit lower so that I can make this work. So maybe I make my housing fund $50 and now I'm back to zero-based budget. Now, when it comes to tracking your expenses, because the most important thing about budgeting is not just setting a budget for how you're going to spend the money, but tracking your expenses every month. So throughout the month in real time. So in this template, for anything like your paycheck, money you're taking out of saving or rollover, and for saving and investment, you'll see these check boxes. So once you earn the paycheck, since these are typically a set amount, they don't typically change, you can go ahead and you have a shortcut of doing the check mark and it auto set it for you. The check mark is there so that you can say, if the budget is the same as what I actually receive, I enter it. But if it's something different, then for, let's say for side hustle, I anticipated it'll be 200, but it's actually 0. So I can go ahead and enter 0. And you can go to your savings and investing goals as you transfer the money. And the key step here is making your savings and investments automated so that they automatically happen. So you can just be, let's say we met all our savings goals, you actually transfer the budgeted amount, you can just do the check mark. When it comes to your fixed expenses and your variable expenses, you're going to track that on the month budget. So if I click on January here, every month looks the same. You have the year and the month, and then you have here where you can start tracking your expenses. You'll see here your budget summary is auto-populated for you in the summary table as well. And as I actually start tracking transactions, it's going to tell me under total paid what actually went out. So this is auto-calculated for you. So in real time, based on the budget you set in the previous tab, you can see what your total variable budget is, what your total fixed budget is. And as you start paying and tracking the transactions in real time, you'll see exactly how much you have left so that you stay consistent and within budget. So let's start recording some transactions. So rent came out, let's say that's $2,000. And then you can actually, there's a shortcut. You can even like copy this, right? Like for everything that you already set a budget for, since it's a set amount, you can copy that and then simply paste it. When you paste it, it's important to do just values only, and then it'll select it in the drop down for you. And these drop downs, again, the same ones that you set in the Start Here tab, they're all right here. So since the fixed amounts are exactly the same, for those, I can just copy and paste them to make it quicker for myself. And let's say car insurance, everything is the same except for internet. Let's say internet, the price went up and they charged me $54.99. So when something is more, you'll see it here in the summary. You'll see all the total paid based on what I put in. And then I overspent by $4.99 in internet. So I need to keep that in mind as I go through my budget. And then in the payment method, this is where you start selecting where the money's coming from. And let's say for all of these fixed expenses, they're coming from my checking account. And then you can start adding your grocery charges. Let's say you went 2 times in a row and they were for $75 and $95 each, and you paid on your Chase credit card. This is how easy it is just to come in every day as transactions happen and go ahead and record it. And what makes it super easy for me as I track my expenses is to get to set up notifications on my phone when every transaction happens, so that it alerts me as a push notification or as a text message, so that I have that as a reminder to go ahead and log my expenses. You also have a description column here if you want to track any specific notes. So you can say like include like household items included, for example, in this grocery trip, so that you can track that. And as I enter these grocery budgets, as you can see in the total budget here, it's going to show up the total. And it's going to tell me up here in the summary as well, total paid and difference. So as I do all of this everything is automatically populating for me. So let's enter a few more. Let's say we went to some restaurant 2 days in a row. Let's say it was $25 each. That's a cheap restaurant. Let's do $50 for another trip. You treated your friend, right? So we'll do that. And that was spent on the Capital One credit card. So again, the same thing is summed it up, and it tells me the summary of how much I have left for the rest of the month. If you go all the way at the top here, it's going to give you a chart breakdown of how much you're spending so far and in what categories. It does this for variable expense, and it does this for your fixed expenses as well. And then all the way to the right, it gives you total expenses by account. So what card you used and how much you spent so far. And the chart breaks it down for you as well in percentages and amount. And then what I like to do is at the end of the month or middle of the month, whenever my credit card bill is due, I go and actually look at how much actually came out of my card balance. So let's say for checking account, this is accurate. So I can say that, and I don't necessarily need to track that my checking account was paid. The card paid section is really for your credit cards to help you keep track that you paid. So then you have your credit card, your Chase, you check the balance, and let's say it was actually $185. So there's a difference of $15 you didn't account for. So you can go back here and you try to look at your transaction history, and you found out that it was actually a personal care item that you spent for $15. So there's like checks and balances already built into this system to help you stay accountable to the budget you're setting. So that was on the Chase account, and look at that. When you did that, the amount ended up calculating correctly. So now your balance is 0. And when you have paid the credit card off, you can check mark it here. And if we go back to the annual budget here, you'll notice that all the actual amounts that we entered and tracked in January, they're all being entered in the actual column for January here. So you have 170 coming out of groceries so far. So you're able to track at a glance here over the months as each month goes on what you're spending. And at the end here, you have your annual total. So it would tabulate for you your total budget, your year-to-date actual spending, and what your monthly average is. And why this is perfect is because you're going to use your monthly average to help you set your next year budget. Or even as you start tracking your actual spending, you're going to see that, wow, I'm actually spending a lot more for things, so my budget needs to adjust. So for example, here, we noticed that in January, our internet bill went up to $54.99. So I can go back to my target budget and update that for all future months, for example. Or maybe it was an incorrect charge and I can call and dispute it. But you can adjust your budget as you move along based on how the expenses are changing. So that's something that you can do moving forward. And then the other thing I do is the network tracker. And just to give you a quick glance, every month I like to track how much balance is left in each of my savings accounts. And this is going to tell you your total net worth and track it for you what your goal is, what you're starting with, and then every month as your account balance grows. So you want to go through this exercise at the end of the month, every month, and calculate what your total account balance is. So I hope this video was helpful to you. This is exactly how this budgeting simple money management system works to help you stay consistent and help you manage and track your money well. If you're interested in this template, I've linked it down below in the description. I want you to tell me in the comments what is one area that you're looking to improve in terms of your finances. What is one thing you took away from this video that was helpful to you? I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to watch this video linked over here that talks all about the top reasons why budgets fail and what you can do about it to ensure that your budget will not fail. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to creating more helpful videos like this to help you stay on track of your finances in 2026.